5:30 as the Buffalo Bills move across the street to their new home. Former Bills running back O.J. Simpson's name will not be carried over with the Wall of Fame. The organization said he is, quote, not a fit to display inside our new stadium and family circle.
We're joined now by Tim Graham, a writer for The Athletic, who has sat down with O.J. before his death and had exclusive one-on-ones with him over the years. Tim, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Obviously, a wealth of knowledge about this topic. First, can you bring us up to speed with where we are? Because this has created, the Bills probably thought that they were doing a good thing or something they thought the community would be very responsive to, and it has been.
I think it mostly has been. Now, it's hard to really go by social media or calls to the local all-sports radio station, but there has been quite a bit of backlash to the Bills' decision. And I think people want to look at O.J. Simpson strictly from his playing days, one of the greatest players of all time. I think he and Bruce Smith are in the conversation for the greatest Buffalo Bill of all time, which is my personal opinion. You could put Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas in there, but it's a very short list. And the fact that he was the first to rush for 2,000 yards in a 14-game season, that won't be matched ever again. The season he had 2 years after that was even better. He had more yards from scrimmage because he was catching the ball, 25 touchdowns. I mean, he transcended sport. He transcended Buffalo. He transcended race in a lot of ways in the 70s at a very trying time, and as if it's necessarily gotten any better. But it is, he's a very complicated personality in sports and around the world.
Yeah. Simpson acquitted of the stabbing deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, but found liable for wrongful death in a civil court case 2 years later. Now, I realize there are 3 white people sitting on these chairs and couches, and this is a big racial conversation.
Without question.
It was racial back then, and it still is today. There is a petition going around for folks who want to see his name in that stadium.
Yeah, I see both sides. I do, and I hate to play both sides of the fence, but you can, as the Pro Football Hall of Fame has done, say we are still going to have his bronze bust in Canton, Ohio. We are going to honor him. He was in here before he was accused of any wrongdoing. The Heisman Trophy that was taken away from him. There's all kinds of ways to go back and forth, and I think really it comes down to a lot in society about what we value in terms of honoring people. Does it really matter? Ray Lewis has a statue outside of M&T Stadium in Baltimore. People who are in the Hall of Fame, Pete Rose, I mean, whatever you want to go by. And I'm not just talking about Pete Rose and gambling, about the allegations of underage girls and all kinds of things that people have a tendency to look the other way for some and not for others. So I do see both sides. I think, it's called the family circle. I think that makes a bit of a difference, too. If you want to make this a destination for your fans and your family and to bring your children, it's a lot different vibe than going to Canton and seeing a person's bust after they've been inducted and after they're dead, with all the others in the history, with all these hundreds of others. O.J. being singled out is a little bit different. Now, the Bills have been trying to get away from this for a long time. They put his number 32 back in circulation a few years ago, and not only did they do that, but they gave it to a marginal player, Sonoris Perry, a running back and special teamer who they ended up cutting and then signing back to the team. So they even gave it to a player that was kind of in such a way as to say, this number means nothing to us anymore. 32, 12 does. 78 does, 34 does, and they're all going to be in the stadium. Those are all retired, but O.J.'s 32 was never retired because the Bills hadn't done that yet, and then the accusations, and then Jim Kelly after that. So the Bills have been trying to do this for a while, and I think that the original plans were to not have him in the stadium all along, even before he died, and now we're just finding out the officialness of the Bills' decision, and now it's hitting home for some people, longtime Bills fans, O.J. Simpson fans, and the opposite.
Could they not say that this is a business decision? Here we are having this once in a generation, once in a team generation opportunity to create something new. And that also includes perhaps cleaning up their past, which their past includes the greatness on the field of a player, and that same player obviously performing a very different thing off the field. They can make that business decision, can they not?
Yeah, and they have. And I think the sticking point with this was the timing of it. He was already up. And then are we making more news by taking his name down? Ralph Wilson was adamant that as long as he was alive, O.J. Simpson's name was going to stay up there. And he also said there were names that were never going to be up there as long as he was alive. Lou Saban and Cookie Gilchrist, for, obviously polarizing or polar opposite reasons. But the Bills have not had Cornelius Bennett's name added to the Wall of Fame at times, even though Marv Levy has been adamant about it. But his off-field issue kept him off the Wall of Fame. So they have been making these business decisions. I think really what it came down to was perception. He was already up there. Now here's a clean break. Nobody's up there now, they can say. It's just these guys who've had their jerseys retired and Ralph Wilson, as far as I know, and that we can now do away with OJ in kind of a very logical, clean reset.
All right.
So they thought.
Very good. Tim, thank you.
Tim, thanks.
Thanks, Brad.
Really appreciate
Appreciate
the
it.
perspective.
Yeah.